Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of On Tap Bets. I am your host today, Joey Ricotta at Joey Knows Nothing, joined as always by my good friend at Jack Bushman 2. He is Jack Bushman. We did not get an outright winner last week, Jack. 7-1, Rory McIlroy kind of wiped that away. I mean, it's always frustrating when that happens because we went into it feeling so good for the CJ Cup, and then we didn't even get a chance to watch it, really. Want to know how that went for you, but how are you doing tonight, my friend? We are back again to break down another tournament.
Yeah, good to be back on the show, Joey. Unfortunately, it was not a winning week for us at the CJ Cup, as you mentioned. The hot streak appears to have come to an end for now, at least. Hopefully we can get back on it this week. But it was a toughie. Rory, obviously, at 7-1 with that good of a field, the best event of this fall swing, bar none. I wasn't going to get to Rory at 7-1, even as someone who will go and extend myself to him more times than not if he's at that number. So it did kind of hurt to me a little bit as a big Rory backer and someone who's been on Rory for two of his most recent wins. Kind of sucked to miss that one. And also tough not to cash anything. No outrights, no top 20s. Griot stunk it up for us. Could be the end of the Grill Master. And yeah, as you referenced, not a whole lot of TV coverage, which was not surprising. And anyone listening to this, if you're a big PGA Tour follower, you're probably not surprised by the lack of coverage. But it was definitely disappointing considering, this was as good as it's going to get for the fall swing and as good as it's going to get until, the Century Tournament of Champions to kick off the 2023 slate. So, yeah, it was upsetting. I get why there would be no coverage an event like this week for, as I've already dubbed it, the booty hole Butterfield Bermuda Championship. The BBB, Big Baller Brand, LeVar Ball, look out. You got another triple B on the
list. I like that.
It would make sense not to cover this event. I mean, the field's absolutely god awful. It feels like a Corn Ferry Tour event. But last week for the CJ Cup on a difficult track, played a little easier than I personally thought it was going to be, but it was a really good field, really good event. And once again, the PGA Tour kind of dropped the ball on the coverage. It was 3 hours every day, and that's it, starting at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's the part that really ticks me off. It's not so much that, we kind of know that the golf coverage is not the greatest. You got to bounce around from here to there to be able to watch things. You got to go to Peacock, then you got to go to this, then you got to go to that. ESPN Plus, it's just annoying. I pay for a subscription to ESPN Plus. I have Peacock. You can watch it on these different outlets. But then when they don't give you the coverage when it's that strong of a field, that's the most annoying part to me, Jack. Because then now, like you said, we have to sit here and wait until God knows when. I mean, we could probably pull up the list of the schedule and find out which tournament's actually going to have a strong field. And nothing against the golfers that are going to be at this one, at the Butterfield Bermuda, but it doesn't compare. It doesn't even come close to what we had last week. And it's a letdown when, especially if you're somebody like me who kind of plans out their weekend of okay, I'm going to watch early slate of golf. And then later on, I got stuff I got to do or something like that. No, you're only giving me 3 hours, a little small window where I can watch these golfers. And then half the time, you might only catch 4 holes from the guys that you even bet on, towards the end of that. It's just frustrating. I don't want to harp on it too much, but it's PGA's got to do better, man. They have got to do better with this.
Yeah, it really feels like they're doing their fans such a disservice. And again, this isn't anything new. As long as I've been betting on golf, this is really my first full-time season betting weekly, but I've been gambling on golf for 2 years, and I've been disappointed more times than not trying to go and keep up with one of my guys on a Saturday or Sunday morning, and there's nothing to watch until 1 o'clock, and then the coverage is on for 3 hours. Half the time they're showing guys that nobody cares about. It's very frustrating, and I doubt it ever gets fixed, which is really sad because I see people complaining about it. PGA Tour hasn't really done much to change it. So hopefully, when things kind of transition at the start of next year with the new schedule and the elevated events and the elevated purses, hopefully some of that stuff will change for the better along with it because, it's just not good enough right now, Joey. There's no doubt about it. And for the true golf fans, people who, want the nitty gritty and want to see things early on in the morning from maybe the guys who get out there in the early wave. It's unfortunate that they're not able to follow as much as they want to.
Yeah, instead they're showing on the Golf Channel, they're showing like other tournaments that nobody really cares about. It's like that's another part of it and it's like baseball, we talk about it all the time, the blackout restrictions. You could be in Iowa and not be able to watch a certain game or whatever. They have all these different blackout restrictions. Not only are you blacking out people from a certain area that can't watch the game, you're blacking out everybody from this. So golf is like, to me, it's worse than baseball in that sense. And I complain all the time about the blackout restrictions with baseball. But with that said, Jack, we do have to kind of go ahead and move on here and talk about the poopy butthole tournament, the Butterfield Bermuda Championship. It is in Bermuda, Southampton, Bermuda location, right off the coast, Atlantic coast. It's got its own island, really. Port Royal Golf Course. Going to be the course. Architect Robert Trent Jones, he designed it, and then some renovation work was completed in 2009 by Roger Rulwick. When this opened in 1970, one of the shortest courses on tour that we're going to see this season, but it might not play that way, just depending on wind and stuff like that. It might be a very tough course, especially for the guys in this field. Jack, give me your rundown, kind of what you think about or what you're looking at as you look at this course.
Yeah, good stuff there. Port Royal Golf Club, excuse me. You mentioned it is short. It's the second shortest track on the 2022-2023 PGA Tour schedule. Only one shorter is Pebble Beach Golf Links. But it can almost play like two different courses because of the wind, Joey. And that's basically the main defense here at Port Royal Golf Course. It can gust up to 30 miles an hour on certain days. It's an island and a coastal track, so obviously the wind's going to be gusting hard off the ocean. And the forecast, I think, is something that people should be paying a lot of attention to this week. And it's even got me considering, Joey, maybe like saving some of my money until Friday or at least Thursday afternoon to see like kind of if there's going to be a weather stack or if some guys are going to have to go out early on Friday or Saturday. Like it just feels like this is one of those tournaments where weather is really going to play an impact on the leaderboard. Like go and look at the 3 years of the Butterfield Bermuda Championship. We saw Brendan Todd absolutely light it up in its PGA Tour debut, getting to 24 under. But each of the last 2 times, we've only seen Brian Gay, a winner, and then last year, Lucas Herbert both only get to 15 under. I think it's pretty funny how Lucas Herbert's not even here to defend his title. Like that's how bad this tournament is. He's just like, I'm not going. It's not.
No one cares.
I'm sure some guys looked at the forecast for this week too and were like, no thanks, not going. Because it looks like we could see 4 days of rain potentially, or at least rain on 2-3 days, and expect wind to be an impact. So I think this course is probably going to play closer to the 15 under mark that we've seen each of the last 2 years in comparison to what Brendan Todd did back in 2019. But it's still going to be a very short course. So even if wind is trouble, like I don't think par is going to necessarily be the toughest score here. It's just birdie chances are going to drastically decrease if the wind gets up, because looking at kind of the breakdown of this course, a lot of short par fours, 6 of the 11 par fours are between 350 to 400 yards. All 3 of the par 5s, last time around, they played as the 3 easiest holes on this course. All of them are reachable in 2, even for some of the shorter guys. One of them's only like 507 yards. Like Joey, me and you could go out there and possibly par that guy. So the par 5s aren't going to be a challenge. They're not long. The par 4s, they're not going to be the toughest holes, even the ones that are a little bit longer. Really, the only tricky holes on this course are the par 3s, particularly the 2 on the back 9. Both can play 235 yards. And imagine if the wind's up, 20, 25 miles an hour, you might have to go hit a 260-yard shot into that green. So the wind and the par 3s are really the major defenses here at Port Royal Golf Course. Other than that, it's pretty gettable. But again, I think the weather is going to play an impact, and that's just one thing I would recommend all the listeners out there to be. If you're placing a wager and gambling this week on this tournament, tip of your cap to you, by the way. This is horrible, and I wouldn't blame anyone for skipping out on this field. Just hopefully trying to get back on that heater this week. But if you're, following along in this golf tournament and you have some money down, I would definitely recommend keeping an eye on the weather, because I do think it's going to play a serious impact, at least how it's shaping up right now on Tuesday night, Joey. So that's kind of what I got. I think there's going to be a lot of wedges into a majority of these greens. The par fives, you'll see shots coming from over 200, but they're all relatively easy shots in consideration to par fives that they see on the PGA Tour, most other events. So I think the wedges are going to be really important. I also think it's really key to play from the fairway here, which is probably going to be easier said than done if the wind's going to be getting up. And you could see guys even just go down to the 3-wood or the hybrid to kind of control it a little bit better and give up some of that distance, because it's just not as essential here. But playing from the fairway is. You got to give yourself opportunities and looks from the fairway to score. So I think off the tee, strokes gained is going to be important. Fairways gained, important. Strokes gained approach, obviously, that's got to be dialed this week. I've kind of looked at the 350 to 400 yard pocket on the par fours. I think that's where a good amount of the scoring chances are going to come this week. And then also strokes gained putting on the Bermuda greens. That's really played a factor here if you kind of look at top 10 finishers or guys who have finished near the top, guys who are known to be good putters, guys who put up good statistics in terms of putts per green and regulation. So just not a loose cannon with the putter. I think that is kind of essential this week, maybe more so than others, Joey. So that's what I got here for the booty hole Butterfield Bermuda.
It's a lot right there. I like all that. You came with it here for this poopy event. I like that, Jack. Not a bomber's course, like you said. It doesn't seem that way. Like a lot of these, better putters can win here. We've seen it. It was interesting. You were talking about kind of the back nine there and being the tough part with those par threes. Ernie Els said that 16th hole, 235 yard par three. He said that could easily be the toughest hole you'll ever play in your life. So, I mean, I love that you mentioned that. This is definitely going to be difficult there, especially down the stretch of that back nine. The wind really impacting things. I mean, we're not going to see too many guys, even if you do, especially in this field, we don't have that many guys that can really launch it off the tee. Like, they're not going to be cutting through this wind. If we get the crazy wind that we're projected to get, they're not going to be cutting through this wind. So I think just being accurate off the tee, like narrow fairways as it is, I mean, I think you just really have to be accurate. Strokes gain approach, proximity to the hole is something I was looking at. Obviously, putting on Bermuda, as you mentioned. Those are some of the things I looked at when I was doing my research. And looking at this field, we've already talked about how awful it is. Seamus Powers, the 48th ranked golfer, he's the top ranked golfer in this field. Like, I'm normally excited. We hop on here, we do these shows. Between Rory winning last week, I was trying to pretend he wasn't in the field last week.
Same.
And then the TV coverage that we got for that event, still pissed off about that for whatever reason. I don't know why at this point, but I'm just not that excited. This is like an obligation this week, Jack, and I'm trying to figure out like where I'm going to go with my bets. I did play some wagers. I'm just not emptying the clip this week. I'm just not doing it. I like the live betting strategy that you kind of talked about maybe Friday going in with a live betting strategy. I can't empty the clip on this. This is such a variant event in my opinion. Like, I don't see a way where anybody can feel confident about their projections this week. So I don't know, man. Looking at this field, what do you think? I mean, we can go ahead and look at the top of the board here and see who, I mean, the betting favorite at this point right now, or the guy that's at the top of the board, shortest odds, Denny McCarthy at 16-1. Mark Hubbard, 25-1. I mean, they had to put a guy under 20-1 for Denny McCarthy. But it's like, dude, Denny McCarthy under 20-1? That's just, I don't know. Talk to me about this top range here.
Yeah, it's pretty laughable. And I have a feeling somewhere Greg Norman is having a good chuckle looking at this field here in Bermuda. But yeah, it's tough. You got to put someone up here. I mean, the argument this week is Denny McCarthy, Thomas Dietrich, other guys in this field, are they really that much better than, guys at 50-1? Like, just throwing out names, Adam Long, Nick, like just Garrick Higo, who's won before on the PGA Tour at least, like probably not that big of a difference, but someone's got to be at the top of the betting board. So I get it. McCarthy's got some decent history here. He's a good putter, probably the best in the world last season. And if it turns into a putting fest, which it has the chance to do here, like I get backing Denny. I'm just not going to bet him 16-1. Like, I mean, he's only like, it's just not going to happen to me this week. In this top of the board, I mean, it's just really tough. I have a feeling you're probably passing on it as a whole, but there are a couple of guys I like here. I haven't placed any bets yet. I was really wanting to talk this one through with you, and I'm really curious to hear who you have placed wagers on. But kind of out of this top range, we'll cut it at we got Denny McCarthy, Dietrich 20-1, Power 25, Hubbard 25, Adrian Maronk, the Polish Hammer at 28-1, Nick Hardy 28-1. We'll stop there. But for me, there are a couple guys I like here. Probably the two that stand out the most to me are Seamus Power and Mark Hubbard. Seamus Power at least has shown that he can win an event like this. Won last year, good finishes at I want to say Bermuda and the Barracuda and the Barbasol. Like Seamus Power is one of the players up here at the top who I actually do believe in. And then Mark Hubbard's someone who's been playing some pretty good golf that we've been talking about recently. Obviously, I don't like the 25-1 numbers, but those are kind of I'm only going to play one guy from up here. Those are the two that I'm thinking about. And I got to ask you, too, not only what you thought about that, but what do you think about Thomas Dietrich? Like someone that you've backed. He's shown us flashes, just hasn't really been able to do it on Sunday thus far. What do you think about this top range, and what do you think about your boy Dietrich?
I like Dietrich this week overall. Like, I think he's going to be fine here. I just don't know if he's going to win. I mean, I don't know how anyone knows anything. We don't know anything. But it's like I'm usually always interested in Dietrich for like top 40s and stuff with stronger fields. This is not a super strong field. I don't know. I mean, I think he can have a great tournament here, or at least good enough to be even top 10 or something like that. Like, I really believe in that. I mean, he was T9 at Sanderson not that long ago, T12 at Fortinet. Like, the guy, he's good. He's a good golfer. I don't know about, like, that price. Like you said, you know, I'm probably not getting to anybody up here. And Seamus Power's another guy where I'm usually kind of gravitating towards, especially on kind of like these overseas feeling tournaments. Like, I like Seamus Power at those events. So I do think he's going to be fine here again. I probably would look at both of those guys at like the head-to-head matchup, you know, capacity or something, which I haven't looked at all, by the way, yet. But outright-wise, would it shock me? No. Like, nobody in this range would shock me. Hubbard is a great, like, course fit just by looking at everything that he's done, too, and just the stats that he has recently that he's kind of thrown together, recent form, a guy that we've been on. So, I mean, I don't know. I can't tell you no for any of these guys. I just don't. I can't do it. You know me. I can't do it.
I feel you. And it was Hubbard, by the way, was the one who finished 3rd and 4th at the Barbasol and the Barracuda last year. So Hubbard, I've seen from Hubbard in fields like this that he's better than these guys. So I'm probably that's actually a tough one for me. I'm going to bet one of those two. I have a feeling. And Seamus Power, we saw him win last year in a bad event. Mark Hubbard's put up good finishes in bad events. That's going to be a tough one for me. I'm going to have to make a decision there. But those are the two guys I like from the top. You're not going to bet on any of them at all?
I haven't yet. I mean, if I had to choose, I will say, I mean, there's a guy that's like just beneath this that I probably would lean to over all those guys. But I'd probably go Hubbard. If I was going to bet that range, I'd probably go Hubbard. For
sure. We're going down to that next range. Tell me who you like.
Yeah, next range. I mean, I know we're looking at probably different prices, but 30-1. I guess you stopped right before 30, right? So yeah. I got Aaron Rye 30-1, Justin Lower 30-1, Patrick Rogers 30-1, Thomas Dietrich. He's 30-1 out there. He's got a price out there for 31. Smalley 31, SH Kim 31. We can kind of stop there. I know a lot of people have been liking SH Kim lately. He's got a pretty swing. So I didn't bet him yet. Have not done it yet. I don't know. What are your thoughts about this area? Did you get to anybody here?
I think maybe my favorite play in the entire field is Aaron Rye.
That's the guy.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to be my play this week in terms of like a favorite outright perspective. Really good with the approach, plays from the fairway a ton. His numbers have been popping as of late, and this number, like, I don't want to say it feels generous in this field, but it feels like a well-placed number. Like Aaron Rye 30-1 here. I've seen people have been backing him the last couple of weeks because what he's been doing over in Europe too, showing up and putting up some good results there. So yeah, give me some Aaron Rye. And also Justin Lower is someone who's kind of been popping to me. A guy that gains every week on the greens, a really good putter. That feels like it would be something nice to have in the back pocket on a week like this. We saw him finish T4 at the Fortinet not all that long ago. I had a really good run late in the year with the Corn Ferry Tour, T9 at the Nationwide Children's Hospital. I kind of feel like this is a place for Justin Lower. We saw him also finish 8th at the Barracuda last year, 8th at the Barbasol, 16th at the Barracuda. So another guy who's kind of popped up near the top in these weaker field events. So I probably like Lower and Aaron Rye the most out of this range. But yeah, I have seen a lot of people on SH Cam, and I had him as a top 20 last week, which I think he came in like 76th, which was great. You beat 4 guys at SH Cam. Thank you very much. But no, I mean, that does make sense too. We saw him post back-to-back good results at the Shriners and the Sanderson not too long ago. You mentioned a really pretty swing. Like, yeah, that I get it. I don't think I'm going to get there this week, but it wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world for a kid with, I believe, a lot of young talent to win. So he's someone I also kind of have starred, but I feel like he's going to end up getting boxed out.
So you're lower on Kim, but you're higher on Lower, is what you're saying.
Yes, precisely.
All right. I've been seeing people on Lower this week too, and like looking at datagolf.com, he was one of the guys that kind of fit here. I feel like if I can remember correctly, looking at that, but I didn't get there. Rye, I haven't bet on either yet, but that was a guy that I'm really interested in. I think I bet on him a week or two ago. I forget what he did too, yeah. But I think he was like 70-1. So I know this price is a little bit crazier. Maybe it was like 80-1. I don't even know where I got him at, but for this field, he makes a lot of sense. I mean, that accuracy, he's one of the more accurate guys in this field. And the greens and reg stats, like I do like some Aaron Rye this week, especially with the recent form. So, yeah, I'm probably going to get there. Just haven't done it yet. Moving on down here. Let's see the odds. Where do we stop at? 40? Or we stopped at 35. So we got Nick Hardy, Russell Knox, 35-1, Stephen Yeager, the Jägermeister, Grayson Sigg, 40-1, Robbie Shelton, 40-1, Adam Long, 45-1, the Shankster, Adam Shank at 45-1, Brandon Wu, 45-1. Did you get to anybody here?
I do have some interest in this range a little bit. Russell Knox was someone who popped me a little bit. He finished 12th of this event last year. Someone who kind of the whole Scotland narrative. He knows how to play in the wind. Maybe there's some truth to that this week. He hasn't been great to open up the year, so I'm probably not going to get there. I have seen some people talking about Russell Knox this week, though. The one that has my interest the most, Joey, our boy Adam Shank. I mean, I don't think the time's to stop now. He's been playing really well. Another good finish at the Zozo. Also a guy who finishes well at the Barbasol and the Bermuda last year in these bad field events. Are you back on the Shank train this week, baby?
I sent you a message earlier. I said it might just be Shank week. It might just be Shank week. And it was mostly because I was looking at this field like, who else is it? Like, what week? Whose week is it? I don't even feel good about anything. Maybe it's John Daly over 1,000-1 week. Good Lord. Yeah, no, probably not. But $1? Hey, I don't know. Adam Shank, man. No. You can't shank it here and expect to win with the fairways being so narrow. But, I mean, I feel like betting on talent here and what I believe he can do. Not super accurate off the tee. Really good approach lately. Probably the best in the field dating back to St. Jude. The only hesitation I have, Jack, he's a St. Louis Cardinals fan, but he has a dog named Bunker That's cool enough for me, man. I guess I'm in on the Shankster again this week.
Have you been doing some Adam Shank homework? Are you are you following this guy in the
I'm
shadows?
starting to follow this guy a little bit. Starting to see
like one of the 6 people that are like watching his Instagram live.
Oh, there's no one else to get excited about this week, so I gotta do a little extra research here.
I think I'm in on Adam Shank this week. I really do. I think that's gonna happen.
That's definitely happening for me. I already bet that. And you mentioned Russell Knox. I did bet Russell Knox.
Oh,
windy. It's windy. That's not even why. It's more so the course history I liked here, to be honest. Like the T12 last year, T16, T11, the 2 other times here. Usually an accurate driver. Like a lot of things made sense from a statistical standpoint and not just like the windy, whatever. But like I feel like the accurate driver is really going to come into play this week. And honestly, he's actually been gaining strokes putting so far this year, at least from the 2 events. And that's something he never really does. Second in approach, proximity to the hole, finished 5th last year in that department. I mean, it's been a hot minute since Russell Knox has won anything on tour, but about 7 years, really. But
now we get him at 35-1, baby.
I grabbed him 40. I did grab him 40. But, hey, 35, I mean, I know it sucks, dude. This week, absolutely. Just give me the Wiley vet, the Scotsman. I don't know. We'll take a shot. I don't know.
I feel you, dude. That's the name of the game this week. Just take some flyers. I like the back the talent method. Like, back guys who or at least have posted good events and tournaments similar to this or have good track records here. I get that being the angle this week. I totally understand it.
Really, nothing else really makes sense. I've been seeing actually a lot of guys on the Corn Ferry Tour, guys. The guys that are recently graduated are just like bouncing. Like I've seen the Corn Ferry Tour strategy a lot this week from different guys. And we might get to some of them, maybe that you're interested in too, Jack. But some of these like veterans with the course history I've been kind of looking at here because I don't really know what to go off of.
Yeah, right.
Englishman Callum Tarrant, he's here 50-1. Nick Taylor 50-1, Will Gordon 50-1, Beniana, Hanan, I don't even know, whatever you want to say his name is, 60-1, Chesson Hadley 60-1. I do have interest in him, Chesson Hadley. So I just think he pops, man. Like he can have those weeks where he pops. Grabbed him at Rivers, our sponsor, Bet Rivers, 66-1. If you're listening to this and you're not familiar with Bet Rivers, go to Bet Rivers, enter the promo code ONTAP for an up to $250 deposit match. That's promo code ONTAP at Bet Rivers for a $250 deposit match and up to $250. I mean, it's free money. I don't know why you wouldn't do it if you're betting on golf right now, especially betting this tournament. Take the free money. Chesson Hadley, man, like I said, I just feel like he's another guy who hasn't won anything in a while. The accuracy worries me. Pretty decent putter, though. He can get hot with it. And if you look at his end of season, 4 of 8 events, he finished top 10 or better. T16 here, the one time he played, he basically gained strokes on approach in 5 straight events too. So I feel like approach could be really key here. I mean, it's key pretty much everywhere. You gotta be a good iron player. So I like Hadley here. Anybody I mentioned before I got to Hadley or Hadley himself that kind of interests you?
I did notice that Hadley has been really good with the irons lately. He was probably the one guy that caught my eye down here. I've seen people on Callum Tarrant this week, the Englishman. I'm probably not going to get there, although I said that about Kurt Kitayama last week, and he almost won the tournament, so who knows?
Yeah.
Beniana is one guy I've seen. You mentioned the Corn Ferry Tour route that a lot of guys are going with, someone who had to go back to the Corn Ferry Tour and secure his PGA Tour card once again. So, yeah, maybe Beniana, our boy. I don't know. I think I'm ultimately going to probably end up passing on this range, Joey.
So dropping a little bit further down, we have Garrick Higo, 65-1, Cameron Piercy. I saw somebody writing him up. I don't know, man. I don't really like that. Maybe you can talk me into that. I don't know. Eric Van Rooyen, we see him a lot in the European Tour. Michael Gligic. I actually saw him pop in a few stats I was looking at today. Or at least top of the board. Maybe it was the proximity. Didn't write that one down because I didn't really have any interest otherwise. Doug Gim, 70-1. Harry Hall, 70-1. Joseph Bramlett, I've bet him at like top 40 markets before he's 70-1. Sam Ryder 70-1. So below that Chesson Hadley group, did you get to anybody here?
I have a little bit of interest. This is kind of funny. I was looking at Eric Van Rooyen earlier because I'm like, EVR, like I remember him in some tournaments last year, like having this number in way better field. So I went and looked at like some of his recent results, and man, that guy has been horrible. Like,
is he really?
Get me away from Eric Van Rooyen. Yeah, the guy's been dreadful.
I haven't been keeping up with him lately, so I mean, thanks for warning me because he's been decent before.
Did you mention Peter Malnati?
No, but that's somebody I wrote down. I didn't.
He has withdrew. He has withdrew, so I didn't know if you mentioned him, but he WD'd from this tournament. Probably saw the weather and said nope. So Malnati's out of here. Dude, honestly, again, like this is it gets really brutal down here.
What about Sam Ryder? I feel like he's kind of interesting.
I was going to say Sam Ryder was the one guy who I've thought of. Doug Gim is from Buffalo Grove, so like there was like some bias in me that was like, yeah, Doug Gim, but he's also been really bad for quite some time. So talk to me about Ryder. Tell me some stuff about him.
I just feel like he's doing pretty well right now. He's kind of like the safe floor out of this field, in my opinion. Like he's probably going to make the cut. He's probably going to be a top 40 guy. He's probably, I feel like the match for him in this field. He pretty much fits in a lot of ways for this field, and he can pop. Like we've seen him pop, and that's what I'm looking for, the upside. I feel like the upside with Ryder is pretty strong, where like versus CT Pan, who is absolutely god-awful lately, no chance I'm touching him. You're going to give me 70-1 odds for Sam Ryder, 80-1 for CT Pan. Probably going to look at Sam Ryder, you know?
Yeah, I feel you. CT Pan, I'm not going to lie. I thought about it just because he's been so bad lately, though. Like, genuinely so bad. The Panimal, what happened?
It makes you want to throw your remote, to be. I don't even think about it.
He's been terrible. Maybe I'll give some more thought into Sam Ryder, but I kind of did like some of these guys from like 80 to 100 a little bit. Like, I don't really like anyone down here because, come on, if you're like 80 to 100 to 1 in this field, you're kind of bad. But Ryan Armour, like someone who's going to hit the fairway.
Talk to me.
Someone who's going to hit the fairway. We just saw him hit a T13 not all that long ago at the Sanderson, and he gained 1.6 strokes with the we're talking about Ryan Armour gaining strokes with the putter. That is monumental. I don't know if he can do it twice in 3 weeks, but I know what I'm going to get from him off the tee, especially if it gets more difficult to hit the fairway. I trust Ryan Armour basically more than anyone. Like this guy hits fairways in his sleep, basically. So I kind of had some interest in Ryan Armour at 80 to 1. And then also another guy who was interesting to me, someone who actually has won on the PGA Tour, Tyler Duncan, 90 to 1. Like, I don't know anything about his recent form. Maybe you know a little bit more, but like 90 to 1, like over guys like Harry Hall and Joseph Bram. Like he's under these guys. He's under Joseph Bramlett. Eric Van Rooyen, who I talked to, is maybe the worst golfer in the world right now. Like Michael Gligic has better odds than Tyler Duncan, who's actually won. Like, I don't know. Yeah. That's something I considered. I do probably like Ryan Armour the best out of this group, though.
Tyler Duncan just sounds disgusting to me. Like, I'm sorry. And I don't know about his recent form exactly either.
I'm going to look.
Right now. It's not good. I feel like that's what I was thinking. It's not good. There's like a bad taste in my mouth. Oh, you know what it is? I bet on him in some capacity.
You did.
I talked about it.
It was terrible.
He was awful. Absolutely god awful. He got cut. And so that's why the bad taste.
He was at the Fortinet.
I think you're right. It was either Fortinet or the one right after that.
He was bad at both.
He was cut at both. Yeah, just terrible. So I mean,
probably not going there.
I like your Ryan Armour pick though a lot. That's somebody who I already bet as well. I grabbed him at 90 to 1 at our sponsor Bet Rivers because, dude, he's got 2 8th place finishes here. He's made the cut 3 out of 3 times at this course. First in driving accuracy last year. I mean, I talked about proximity to the hole. Armour is 8th this year so far through 8 rounds, like tracked rounds. First in approach proximity to the hole last season. I mean, he's volatile, like, right? Like cut at Fortinet, T13 at Sanderson Farms, cut at Shriners. Still, I mean, he's first in the field in fairways gained over the past 24 rounds. So, I mean, we're talking about in comparison relative to this field, Ryan Armour makes sense. I kind of like it. I do.
Yeah, and getting below here, man, I don't know if you've caught some flyers on other guys, but it starts to get real bad.
Just give me your bombers. Give me guys that you're interested in. I know it gets ugly. It gets disgusting. We're not going to list off all these guys, and we got to get going here. We got the Blackhawks coming out. You got to watch. We got stuff we got to do. So
better things to do than talk about 100-1 guys at the Bermuda Championship. Like, if you're thinking too much about it down, like, I get maybe this week this is where someone has a chance to win, but if you are 100-1 in this field, I don't really believe in you anywhere else.
Everybody's a good option this week, so that's pretty much what we're telling you. Anybody and everybody.
I'm about to start rattling off names just for the sake of interest. There's not many of them. Our boy Schwab ranks 100-1. Seemed like a big number. No idea how recently. No idea. Who else did I like? We got to Brian Gay, 160-1. This might as well be the Brian Gay Butterfield Bermuda Championship. I mean, the guy loves this place. It's the only place he can compete at. 160-1. Might be better to place a top 20 or top 40 wager, but it's a big number nonetheless. Sung Yul No. I've seen people talking about Sung Yul No this week. He's 200-1. I thought that was interesting. The one guy down here who I do genuinely have interest, though, in is Akshay Bhatia, a Corn Ferry Tour winner, won in his first Corn Ferry Tour start in the Bahamas. Someone who's kind of been a little bit of a golf prodigy. I don't know if I would put him in that consideration, but someone who did really well on the junior level and has kind of been hyped up the last few seasons. He's still only 20 years old, but he's won on a coastal track before. Like, I don't think it would be the craziest thing in the world for him to basically win another Corn Ferry Tour event. Like, let's call this what it is. It's basically a Corn Ferry Tour event with some middle of the pack PGA Tour guys. So you can find Akshay out there as big as, I think, 250, 300-1 right now. He's probably my biggest flyer that I'm going to get to. Anyone besides that, anyone under 250-1, I'm gone on that. What do you got for flyers, Joey?
Well, I like the stuff that you mentioned about the prodigy that you're not saying he's a prodigy, but the long shot on him. I kind of like that. And so I went ahead and tailed you in about that because, I mean, a lot of the reasons you had, I didn't even really know who he is, to be honest with you. But makes sense to me. Like, why not? Brian Gay, 200-1. I grabbed him there. Incredible track history here. Like you said, he's won this event before. He's never finished below T12, I think. I mean, I know he's old as dirt, but come on. Like, recent form doesn't matter with that kind of track record. For me, anyways, like, here he's been pretty good on Bermuda as well. Sign me up for a little sprink and bink there, as the kids say. David Hearn, 300-1. That's kind of like where I cut it off at. That's a long ways to cut it off, but that was the last one I did. T39 last year, back-to-back 8th place finishes before that. Of the 7 guys who have already golfed here 3 times and done well enough to play all 12 rounds that they could, he's second to Brian Gay and above expectation on this course. So, and once in a while he putts okay, fairly accurate. So I figure 300-1. I've seen crazier things than that. John Daly over 1,000-1. We're probably not getting there, but maybe a little dollar. We'll think about it.
That would be amazing. Literally the greatest, bigger than Tigers win. John win in their Bermuda.
I just don't know what he's doing there. Like we've talked about, what is he even doing there? Like it's going to be terrible weather.
He's not getting a tan.
He's not getting a tan. He can't smoke a cigarette out there and walk around with girls. Like I don't know what he's doing out there. I really don't. But I love me some John Daly. It's just always entertaining.
I might throw $1 on him first round leader just for shits and gigs.
That would be just incredible because that's probably the round he's going to show up if he shows up at all. It would probably be round 1.
Exactly.
Any placement bets, props, nationalities like that? Did you get to anything like that?
I'm thin this week, man. This event, again, it just didn't get my interest too much. I'm just going to place some outrights on some guys who I believe in their talents, some guys who have performed well in these types of events. That's really what I'm going to stick to this week. Look, I'm not going to have my bank account get wrecked by the Butterfield Bermuda Championship. It's just not going to happen. So I'm just limited it to outrights this week, Joey. What do you got props wise, if any?
It's ugly for me too. I only have 2 of them, just placement bets. I like Adam Schenk inside the top 40, and I like Brian Gay with the track record here inside the top 40. That's pretty much it. Jack, favorite bet of the tournament? A favorite outright that you're going with this week?
I haven't bet one yet, but it's got to be Aaron Rye. Like we talked about it off the tee, hits a lot of fairways, hits a lot of greens in regulation. His irons have been really good as of late. I probably feel more confident in Aaron Rye than anyone else, so I'm going Aaron Rye 3-1. I wouldn't also hate a Brian Gay placement bet. That wouldn't be a bad bet either, I don't think.
Yeah, top 40, like that's like I don't understand how he's plus money in that area, to be honest. Like I think that's a pretty good. That is probably my favorite bet, to be honest. Outright, I'll go with my favorite being give me Shank. We've been on him for a while now, so and I did the extra research and found out he's got a golden retriever named Bunker and he likes the Cardinals, which I hate. So he's got to hit the outright this week. That's what I'm going with. One and done, Jack. You're killing me. You're absolutely killing me in one and done. I burned JT last week and it didn't come through for me. And you went with your arch nemesis, or the guy that you can't stand, and Tyrrell Hatton. And Tyrrell Hatton does really well for you. So I don't know what to do here with one and done. Where are you going? Do you get to pick because you won again?
Yeah, I might have to think about Tyrrell Hatton a little bit differently after he came through for me with a T13 finish. Good usage of Tyrrell Hatton because I had no worries about using him really at another event. I thought he made a lot of sense last week. I have a big lead, and also you burn JT. I'm feeling really good where I'm starting here, and I'm first and get to go again. I feel like I'm going to steal your guy this week. I'm going Aaron Rye, one and done.
You didn't steal him.
You going Shank? Nope,
I am going with Russell Knox.
Oh, okay.
I think he's just safe. I think he's just safe this week. So I don't know if he wins. I feel like a top 15, top 20 type finish right there for Russell Knox. At least he'll keep me within striking distance, especially with a field in a tournament that I have really no clue about. Especially when the wind is going to be playing a factor. We feel like so. Give me Russell Knox.
I like it.
I'm never going to use him again. Let's be honest.
No,
you're not using Aaron Rye again, Jack. With that said, this has been great. We got stuff to do, places to go, people to see. Hopefully we can cash some tickets this week. I know it's a rough one. Any final thoughts you have on this tournament, though, before we go ahead and jet out of here?
Listen, PGA Tour fans, if you're betting this week, props to you. You deserve it. Look, this is the worst it's going to get, though. It's the worst of the worst, literally, in the fall swing. It's not great from here on out, but next week I think the Mayakoba in Mexico will be a bit better. The Houston Open back in America, I think we'll draw some other guys there. The RSM Classic will probably be pretty bad too, but this is as worse as it's going to get. So don't worry. It's only up from here, PGA Tour fans. I feel you. If you don't have interest this week, I understand it. I don't have much either than a few guys. So let's just get on through this week, Joey, and hope that we get some better tournaments and some better coverage from the PGA Tour, although I'm not that hopeful about that latter part.
Yeah, I'm not either. They're not listening to us, and there's so many people complaining about it. Hopefully just a good tournament. Let's just get a good tournament. It should be entertaining. Like you said, I was wearing my Bulls hat, the 1998 championship, trying to do the little metaphor for the three-peat. It got broken last week. Unfortunately, you didn't go back to back to back, but still, we're going to do that at some point this season. I can feel it. I know we're going to do it at some point in the season. With that said, we got to get on out of here. We are On Tap Bets and On Tap Golf. Follow us there on all social media platforms at On Tap Sportsnet. Check out all the content on ontapsportsnet.com. You can follow Jack at Jack Bushman2. You can follow me at Joey Knows Nothing. We're out of here. Cash some tickets, win some wagers, crack them, lock them, and be safe.